So maybe one of the last videos I make here in Japan, we're back in Shinjuku, and this is one of my favorite places. And with how amazing Japan has been this entire time, I have thought, would I ever leave Hawaii to come to Japan? Like, would I ever move here? Just sell our place, find a job here teaching English or something? And as tempting as that may be, because of all the wonderful things that Japan does have to offer, I don't think I could ever leave Hawaii to move to Japan. And I want to explain why. So many memories. So me and my wife, well, before she was my wife, we walked in this area a lot together, which is, as you can see, there's no one here because it's so early in the morning, but that's why it's my favorite time to walk around in Japan. So the first reason I could never leave Hawaii to move to Japan is because of my family. It's really the main, and at this point, I don't want to say it's the only reason why I stay in Hawaii despite how hard it is, but it really is a major factor in me staying in Hawaii, for me wanting to stay in Hawaii. Just because of how expensive it is, how tough it is to make it these days. It would be a lot easier to just sell, pack up, and move. We could probably buy a home here with whatever cash we have from our home in Hawaii. So while that's really tempting, I just could never do it. Being born and raised in Hawaii, I was taught that family is the most important thing. And while we do have family here in Japan, most of my family is in Hawaii. And I would miss it, especially my parents and my brother. I would miss them because of how involved they are in my life. Throughout this trip, my dad has been emailing me several times a day asking questions, because we send pictures and video of the boys, of what we're doing for that particular day. And I really appreciate him asking questions and commenting. It's the best kind of social media feedback that I could receive, really, because I haven't really been sharing live what we've been doing because I've been so focused on what we're trying to do with 2 kids that there's not really a lot of time to be posting things on social media. So I've been taking sort of a social media break, which is really nice. But I really appreciate my dad for being so involved and just curious on what it is that we're doing. And we do spend time with them, with my parents and my brother and extended family. And I miss that. We'd be so busy, and I don't know how many times we could make it to Hawaii. And I think that's why I don't think I can make it in Japan without that support system. Now, I have lived on my own when I was by myself on the mainland, so I do know how to take care of myself, pay the bills, live my own life. But I think people underestimate how important it is to have that support system in Hawaii, especially because things are so hard. It's really one of the things that gives us locals somewhat of a home court advantage over people coming in from other places like the mainland or Japan, who do move to Hawaii, but they have no family, which makes life a little bit tougher, even if they're earning a lot more money than some of us local people. And so because of that, because I miss my family so much, yeah, I just don't think we could move away from Hawaii to really anywhere. But trust me, it's crossed my mind. By the way, if you're not familiar with this area, this is like Shinjuku Station. It can get pretty busy at night. In fact, when me and my wife were first dating, we would meet by one of these pillars, and that would be like our place to meet, because it was so crowded and there were so many people that it just became a challenge to try and figure out a place to meet. So we just picked one of these pillars, and that just became our meeting place. The second reason I don't think we can move from Hawaii to Japan, I know this isn't how life is for most people in Japan. Similarly to how when people view Hawaii, they view life a certain way. But life is not like that, because when you visit, you're a visitor, you're a tourist. That's your lifestyle. Completely different from if I had to go to work every single day. That doesn't sound as fun. And I'm particularly talking about the work-life culture here. I'm a local boy, right? I pretty much work my entire life, other than when I worked at a university, in Hawaii. You have a different type of work culture that is not like anything that you'll see here in Japan. And so while we come to Japan, especially now with the strong US dollar, it just seems like we can live very well. Like, things are even cheaper than they would normally be compared to some of the Hawaii prices. But I know that life is hard here. I know work life is hard, family life is hard. Things aren't as they seem. I make the same argument about how things are in Hawaii. It's not as it seems. It seems like it'd be a wonderful paradise where you could just go and have a wonderful life, going to the beach every single day and shopping and eating out. And it's nice here in Japan too. I mean, you kind of get used to that lifestyle as a visitor. But I've always had this visitor fatigue to Japan. Maybe it's just me, but it feels like every time I come to Japan, after about 10 days, I think I'm about done. And you think, oh my gosh, you could do so much more. And absolutely I could, but I think it's just something about being here and being a visitor, being a tourist. After a while, it gets kind of tiring because all you're doing is just eating and consuming. You're not really doing anything. And for me, that's a very important thing in my life. Now, some people would absolutely just love to travel and be a tourist, and that's wonderful. But for me, and especially now that we have kids, this just isn't a lifestyle that I really would like. And so in thinking about moving to another place, especially a place like Japan, I recognize that what we're feeling and experiencing is not like the real Japan. I know that I would struggle with communication over time. I mean, I can get by maybe in Shinjuku, but if we go further away, the English speaking population definitely decreases, and it becomes frustrating sometimes. Like I'm trying to order something and I can't, or I'm trying to find something, or I'm trying to just do something very simple. And it's really hard not to be able to just do it directly. I didn't want to cross the street, but well, we'll try to cross the street just so you can kind of see how it is. If this were at nighttime, you'd see this sea of people coming from that direction and from this direction, and everyone just kind of flashing it and figuring it out. It's pretty amazing. This whole area at night, it's just, I don't know how people manage all the time. All right, here we go. But I think the biggest thing would be culturally, I would struggle over time. Like I can handle a new environment like Japan, completely new culture for a little while, but to leave Hawaii and Hawaii's culture to come here, that would be a really tough trade. I feel like every time I leave Hawaii, I gain a better appreciation for what Hawaii is. And we have our problems for sure. Culturally, we do, economically, environmentally, education-wise. It's like we have so many issues, I acknowledge that. But I feel like every time I leave Hawaii, that's where I actually recognize what makes it very unique and special. Something that I guess you don't really get to see that perspective if you're always in it. I think I should probably get back to the hotel soon, but before I head out, I want to talk about the last reason I don't think I could ever move to Japan. And by the way, this is just an observation. I'm not sure how true it is, but this is just my observation. In Japan, there seems to be a lot of consumerism and marketing and advertising that it just would overstimulate my brain and just cause so much fatigue. Maybe that's just because of being in places like Shinjuku here or in more of the cities, versus if I were to go out to more of the rural parts, maybe it's not so much like that. But I even see like their media, television and things online, a lot of it sometimes is a little bit too much for me. I think it'd be overwhelming over time. I'm not sure it comes across in these videos, but I'm a pretty simple guy. I don't need too much stuff. I like stuff, but I don't need too much stuff. I don't need to try out all the new foods. I don't need to buy all the newest things. I like new things, but I don't have to buy all the newest things. And I feel like I can get away with that in a place like Hawaii because we're so isolated. Trends take a while to get to Hawaii, and we just don't have access to a lot of these trendier brands or fads that you would have on the mainland. But in Japan, I would feel like this pressure to have to buy things and to spend money on certain things. And that's okay. It's okay to go out and do that. But for me personally, I would just get tired after a while. And maybe that's because I'm in this visitor mode. And if I were to live here, I would maybe be able to see through that. Like I couldn't just go out and spend all this money every time. One of the things we don't have in Hawaii is billboards. And I'm really thankful that we don't have billboards or signs and things, because like you saw back there towards the station, it's like overwhelming. And then when you walk around at night, it's so overwhelming that there's all these lights. And for me, it's just, after a while, it becomes too much. And I think if I saw that every single day, it would start to kind of like numb my brain a little bit. And this is why I like to come out and just walk around when everything is kind of closed and off, and I can just enjoy like peace and quiet. And maybe this would be equivalent to people going out to the beach at like 6 a.m. when nobody's there and it's just quiet and easy and nice. I would like this Japan. Like if my life could be like this time from like 6 a.m. to like 9 a.m. before everything's kind of open, it would be nice. And maybe I could get that outside of some of the major cities, but I just think about work and probably having to work in the city. I think for me personally, it would just be too much. And so to close, I don't think I could move from Hawaii to Japan anytime soon, unless something wild happens, like a really great job opportunity or just something major happens, then okay, possibly. I would love to retire in Japan. I would trade my retirement spot in Hawaii, like 30, 40 years from now, to come and live in Japan. I could even live anywhere. It doesn't even have to be in like Shinjuku or Tokyo area. It could be somewhere like far away. I would absolutely do that. If there was a program where I could like reserve my retirement spot here in Japan, I would want to participate in that. Because while I don't want to necessarily move to Japan now, I could see myself doing that in the future. Kids all grown up, don't have to work anymore, just live that nice retired lifestyle. My life would be simple, right? I'd probably just walk around the neighborhood every morning, maybe go to a convenience store, buy some musubis in the morning, eat that, and just enjoy my retirement. Just exercise and read and write. And I wouldn't really be a part of Japan in like this sense of it, you know, like the work sense of it, but I'd still be here. So for me, retirement wouldn't be a bad thing. I would absolutely love to retire in Japan if I could. And that may shock people. Like, you don't want to retire in Hawaii? Not really. If I had the choice, I wouldn't, but that's for another video. So I think this will probably be the last video in Japan for me. Hopefully you've enjoyed these videos. And if you watch most of them or you watch all of them, I really appreciate that. I know they're not like touristy videos where we're going around eating all the wonderful foods and we're showing you all the things. It's not really my style. If you watch this YouTube channel, you know that I'm not really about touristy stuff. Mostly just talking about observations and perspective from one local. And I think that perspective carries when I travel, where I feel like I could talk about things and share my perspective as a local person viewing and experiencing a whole completely different culture. And this trip has been quite the trip for both me and my wife. I really appreciate her and her family, and we made it. So thanks for watching, and aloha.
Hello.